We had just 6 weeks to downsize an entire household before our lease ended. Looking back, one of the biggest challenges wasn't getting rid of things, it was figuring out what was going to actually fit in our new tiny home. The time crunch that we had was real. Our lease was ending approximately 6 weeks. We already had purchased our home. We had no time to go through things like we wanted to. And so we had to really pick up the pace. And selling any of our stuff was not an option. We decided we were going to donate or toss. And that's what we did. In my last video, I mentioned that my partner has MS, which kind of added another layer of challenge just because there were some things she couldn't do physically. And regardless of all the challenges we had at the time, the illness challenge, regardless, we had approximately 6 weeks. That was it. We had no more time. One of the things I think early on, after we got through the emotional part of downsizing, we really made progress is, okay, we've got all of this furniture now. What's going to actually fit and what won't fit in our tiny home? Because while we didn't have oversized furniture, we had just regular size furniture. It was a lot of it. And our new home was 399 square feet, and that's what we were working with. And so, how could we fit this? And if we couldn't, what do we need to buy? And that was one of the things early on that I thought, how much are we going to spend on furniture and everything we need to replace? Because while we were moving, there's always expenses in moving. There was also an expense in what do I have to pay for all of these things we have to replace that we cannot take. And so, being cheap and budget minded as I am, I wanted to make sure that we were going to have nice enough things when we move. Since we had already bought the new home, I had went out to the place where we had bought it from, and I did measurements. And I had to go out a couple of times because the first time I didn't do the greatest measurements because I was too excited looking at everything and I wasn't really paying attention to what I was doing. So I was measuring like the wall space. Like in the living room, we have two walls that could accommodate a full size sofa. It's like 115 inches, or I don't remember what it was exactly, but something like that. But also you have to think about how far do you want it to come out, what the depth is, because that's going to eat into your walking space or your living space. And so one of the things that was important to me is I had recliners and I have arthritis in my neck. And so sometimes I need to lay back in my recliner and use ice and heat to help alleviate the pain. And I knew that our recliners that we currently had were not going to fit, even though they were not that old. We couldn't take them because they took up a lot of space. So I started looking at, they're called wall hugger. I think that's what it is, a wall hugger, where it doesn't take up a lot of space. I think a lot of RVs use them. And I started looking at those, and I had our measurements of how much space we could have. We have two of them. You can probably see them behind me. And I got them through Living Spaces online. At the end of December 2025, they were $250 each. And I thought that was a pretty good price for a recliner. And I hadn't gone in person to sit on them, but when they're actually really comfortable, and the dogs love them. We both like them. And so it worked out well. The only thing is, it doesn't have storage in it. And that would be my one thing that I would like to have had, is more storage. Because in a tiny home, all the storage space you can have is really, really important. But it is what it is. I'm happy with them, and they recline well. They recline even further back than my old chairs. It doesn't take up a lot of wall space, fits nicely in here. I think I'll leave all of the pieces of furniture and things that I'm talking about here, I will leave down in the comment section, the description, so that way you can go and check them out if it's something you're interested in. Because everything I bought it on sale. I don't know how much the chairs are now, but under $300 for a recliner is not bad, and it fits. Two of them fit on our wall, as you can see behind me. Another thing we looked at were bed. We had king size and queen size beds, and in a tiny home, depending on the style that you choose, you can get a queen or a king in your bedroom. That's about all you're going to get in there. Maybe a couple of nightstands, depending on how you use it. We needed an office in there and an office in the living room, and so we had to set up ours a little different than a lot of people do, but it works for us. And in my next video, I'm going to go over how we decided on this particular model. Uh, but anyway, beds. I I started looking at. I did a search. I did a lot of search, and a lot of research. And like, is there anything smaller than a twin? And it was talking about a narrow twin. I had heard of cots before, but this was actually a narrow twin, and it's the one that I had, the one that we got. We got two of them, one for the living room, one for the bedroom, and it has memory foam and springs in it. It has a combination, so it's a real bed. It's just a narrow twin. It's 8 inches thinner. It's the same length as a twin, but it's 8 inches thinner. So it doesn't go out as far. The depth is thinner. It's 8 inches thinner. And in a tiny home, 8 inches makes a huge difference because it's not taking that floor space. And as you can see, it's behind me. I use it. It can be used as a bed for company, or it can be used as extra seating for company. So it works out really well. It fits in here with the two recliners. On the other side of the wall are two windows. I have my workstation there uh, because, like I said, we had to get two offices in here, or a workspace for each of us, and we were able to do it. And it's worked out nicely. But if we had gotten bigger beds, bigger furniture, there wouldn't be the space. So you have to think about how you're going to use your home. If you're going to use it just as your retirement home, where you're not really going to be on the computer, or you're going to be on your laptop, or you're going to be on your tablet or whatever, then maybe it doesn't matter that you have a small desk or somewhere where you can work, and that's not requirement for you. Everyone uses their tiny homes differently, from what I have seen after moving into a tiny home community and living amongst other tiny home owners. One of the things that is a misconception, I think, about tiny home living is that, oh, I've got to get new furniture and everything has to be customized, and that's going to be really expensive. It was one of my fears too, but it's not really true these days, just because tiny homes now, at least in the US, can be 399 square feet or under. And so if you're going for 399 square feet, which we did, you're going to have enough space on walls to have a full size sofa or a love seat, or like in my case, I got recliners. You're going to have enough space for that. It just depends on how big you want it to come out and take up floor space. And so obviously, the bigger the depth, like for instance, 8 inches extra on a twin is going to take up 8 inches extra floor space. You have to think about how you're going to use your home, and what will work for you, because what works for us probably wouldn't work for someone else, and what works for someone else probably didn't work for us. So everybody is unique, and that's what makes tiny homes, I think, so cool, is that you can set them up for what works for you. And so, like for instance, storage is like I mentioned earlier, storage is like a huge thing in a tiny home. So like the beds, for instance, I have them up on a 14-inch platform, so there's space underneath. We have plastic roll tubs, and they have wheels, and it's not stuff that we need every day, but we do still need it in the house. So that makes perfect storage. Under the bed storage is wonderful in a tiny home, and you can use tubs, or you can actually have drawers built in under the bed, but that's an expense, and you have to decide if you want to spend that. I just bought the tubs and called it a day, and they work well for us. Um, so it doesn't have to be expensive. I'm pretty cheap. So our washer and dryer that we had at our old place was a side by side. We could not take that because here we have a stackable, which is pretty common in a tiny home, is that you're going to have a stackable washer and dryer. But hey, you got to have a washer and dryer in your home. That's cool. And I got it on Lowe's for, I think it was $999,000, which is not bad for a washer and dryer. You can go and try to find a scratch and dent, which would even be cheaper. Just make sure you measure good on how because all the tiny homes I've noticed are a little different on the space they give you for the washer and dryer. Some are like extra skinny, so you got to make sure that it's like 23, 24 inches. I think ours was like 24 inches. It could have held 25, but I went a little smaller so I could fit like my broom on the side of the washer and dryer. If I had to go back, I think, and do it again on as far as like downsizing and eh, eh, figuring out furniture and stuff like that, I think I would probably for sure donate. Even if we had more time, I think I would still want to donate and bless others with things that I no longer use. And I think also making sure that you measure not just the wall space, but how much the depth, how much do you want these pieces of furniture to come out? Because once you get them in, if it's too big, then you're going to think, oh my God, I got no floor space. So that is something I think I would measure a couple of times just to make sure. And I think functionality of the furniture, while every piece doesn't have to serve multiple functions like it did when tiny homes were 150, 200 square feet. Now that we've got, 399 square feet to work with, it still would be nice if the recliners had some storage underneath. Although that would be more expensive, but I'm happy with them. Uh, but like on the patio, for instance, I have a storage that can be used as an extra seating or as a table in between the two rocking chairs that I have out there that I bought off Amazon. Really, really cool. And I would really recommend them because they're really good. I mean, they're heavy and sturdy, and they're not wood, so they won't ever rot. They hold up to the weather nicely. Wind doesn't knock them over or anything like that, and they're pretty comfortable. Put a couple of cushions there, and they're quite comfortable. So the storage I bought another little storage unit that I have. That it's just a small storage unit that I bought, but it holds all my stuff for the yard, which obviously I don't want lawn stuff in the house, so it's perfect for the patio. I think that's the thing is the functionality of just making sure that when you bring things in, that it has some other function besides just a piece of furniture, if you can. Not all of, like I said, not all of our stuff does, but if I could do it again, I probably would look more for those kind of things, and especially if I had more time. So there is an expense up front for furniture if you're replacing it, but it doesn't mean that you have to go broke doing it. It doesn't mean that you're going to have to spend, you know, $10,000 on furniture because I didn't spend even $2,000 probably on everything I bought. And so it's just, yeah, probably way, way less than that because I was really keeping track of everything. I think that's it for now for this video. And if you like the video, feel free to subscribe, give me a thumbs up, leave me any comments below. We'll talk there. And in my next video in this series, I am going to share how we found our tiny home, why we chose this model, what model it is, in case you want to check it out. And I think that's it for now. So thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.